The reference I read for you for Joshua, he's just warning the people, God's holy, and he's also jealous. So because he was kind of bringing to a point and be like, choose you this day whom you're going to serve. And he's just saying, like, it's up to you, decide. Are you going to follow the Lord or not? You're going to follow the gods of the land of the heathen. Hey, if you choose to follow the Lord, just understand this. You better know that God's a jealous God. That if you choose to follow the Lord, it's the Lord only. You don't go and start mixing in all these pagan gods with the Lord. He's saying you just worship God. He's a jealous God. He doesn't want any other gods with him or beside him. There is no other God, and definitely not before him. In Exodus chapter 20, though, is the 10 Commandments, which is going to help explain the jealousy of God. We understand pretty easily the jealousy of man, where usually it's a couple, typically a married couple, where a husband might be jealous of a wife if another guy is like talking to her and starting to get too close and be buddy and say, hey, well, wait a minute, what's going on there, right? And why do you get jealous? Because your wife belongs to you. You say, hey, that's my wife. Don't you go talk into my wife like that and start to become real close buds with my wife. That's my wife. She belongs to me. I belong to her, and you have nothing to do with this relationship at all. So you could, this is an A and B conversation. You could see your way out. And that's the way it ought to work. And you know what? I think that our society would be way better if people had a little bit of jealousy in their relationships, because that shows you the reason why you have the jealousy is because you love your spouse. You love that person. You don't want anyone else coming in between and screwing up that relationship. I don't want some other guy coming in and trying to win over my wife's heart or try to do anything that's going to cause conflict in our relationship. I don't want that at all, and she doesn't want that either. And God, similarly, doesn't want anyone coming between us and him with our relationship with God. And God says, I'm a jealous God. I want you all to myself. And that's what the jealousy means here. I'm jealous. I want my wife all to myself. Sorry, I don't want to share her, guys. Yeah, how crazy, what a crazy thought. But people today would think like, oh man, you're so uptight, or what's the big deal? In this wicked, adulterous generation, people have such a, yeah, but I know that the divorce rate is over 50%, and I know that there's all this adultery being committed, but come on, man, you think that's the real problem? Yeah, actually I do. I think that is a problem. I think husbands are allowing their wives to get way too close with other guys, and wives are allowing their husbands to get way too close with other women. And it's just a breeding ground for adultery. So no, sorry, I'm going to be jealous over my wife because I want her to myself. And that is not a bad attribute to have, by the way. We're looking at the characteristics of God today. Look at Exodus chapter 20. Starting in verse number 1, the Bible reads, and God spake all these words, saying, and I love that about Exodus chapter 20 here. God spake these words. There's no doubt about what God said. He said, these are the words that God spake. Verse number 2, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. Why? Why can't we make any gods? Why can't we make any idols? Why can't we bow down and worship this, whatever statue or figure that we make up to represent God? Why can't we do that, God? For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. He just comes around and says, you know what, I'm jealous. I'm a jealous God, and he says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. He says, I'm jealous. What does that mean? He wants you to himself. He wants the praise. He wants the glory. He wants the recognition. He wants the honor. And you know what? He deserves it all. He's the one that made us. He's the one that loved us enough to bring us salvation. He's the one that did everything for us, so he alone deserves the glory and the credit and the honor that only a God can receive. He says, don't make up any other gods. Imagine how angry he must be. He's the one who brought the children of Israel forth out of Egypt, and then when Aaron makes the golden calf, right? And, oh, these be thy gods. And God's like, it's some metal, a clump of metal that came out of a fire. God specifically took the time to show his mighty hand and bring them out with a strong arm. And all the plagues and all the miracles and all the wonders. And you're going to go and attribute all of that to a rock, to a piece of metal, to junk. And you're going to call that a God?